You're listening to Literally First Class, the podcast for female founders behind multi-million-dollar brands and businesses. I'm your host, Keri Ford, creative director turned 3-time award-winning coach, real estate investor, mom, and the one-on-one private advisor for multi-7- and 8-figure firms. If you're ready to make your next million, expand your impact, and lead with even more confidence, you're in the right place. Let's take your life and business first class. This is the third time I'm recording this episode. Last week, I recorded an episode that I wasn't sure I was going to release. The title of it was called Talking to God, and how I have used, my relationship with God to cultivate business and to maximize my gifts. And I just thought, I don't know if people are ready for this. I don't know if I'm ready for this. And I went to go upload it to my production team, and there was no sound, despite seeing sound waves. So God decided we all weren't ready for that episode. At some point, maybe we will be. Anyway, then I made the decision that I wanted to record an episode about the 3 things that I have noticed through the years of coaching female leaders at $2 million and up, what actually helps create ultimate growth and higher profitability. But while building a business they still love and that feels really good to them, that's sustainable. So we're going to go ahead and re-record that episode. And third time's a charm? I don't know. Wild. I don't know. Technology has been challenging as of late. So once you hit the 7-figure mark and beyond in company revenue, the challenges, as you know, do not disappear. I think as you're building your first 7 figures and beyond, the mindset block that you can get trapped in is thinking that once I have all this money, I'll have all this access to resources, which is true, but then all my problems will go away and everything will be easier. It's so not true, because at this point, the stakes are higher, the goals are bigger, the pressure to lead with precision only intensifies. Then add to that you're a mom and, you probably invest in other companies or you run other companies. The overhead goes up. Your team expands. The success is amplified, but there are more problems that are amplified as well. So that's one mindset trap that I see at the higher levels. But these 3 things are the things that you need. And without them, you will never have sustainable success, right? You'll continue to chase success and it will feel empty and you will feel burned out and you will be exhausted. And so these 3 things are the things that I continue to see be the end-all be-all for the main cornerstones to building a sustainable company and legacy. So at this stage, it's not just about scaling the business, it's about scaling your leadership, who you are being, right? What's going on in your nervous system, what your mindset, how sharp it is, how dialed in you are, how connected to the mission and the why are you? Are you clear on your vision? Do you know where you're guiding your people? So these are the things that your team needs you to be for ultimate growth and profitability. So that you can communicate better, you can instill trust, you can keep your team aligned, and you can build a team of A players. So this is the moment where you're going to be refining your focus and doubling down on what actually drives growth. And I want you to take some notes. If you have a notepad, I want you to make sure you're taking some notes here if this is for you, because the stakes just get higher, as I just mentioned. If you're a mom, you're a wife, you run a household, even if you have support at home, it's still more people to manage. You have a team, you have a company, you have multiple companies, you own a house, you own multiple houses. That is a lot of pressure and it's a lot of responsibility. And if you're the one that is always leading and always in charge and always responsible, that can be a lot. And this is the point where a lot of women will come to me and they'll be like, I don't know if I want this anymore. And then I ask, what is this? And they say, this, I don't know if I want this life anymore. And then we get to the bottom of it with more digging and more questions, which is, I don't want this stress. And so what happens here is so important, because this is where I see people push away their next level of growth, because it's where they think they need to, it costs them more. Like they need to be more stressed out. They need to be working longer hours. So it is about equal parts coming up with strategies and mapping out your leadership team and making sure you have the right support pillars in place so that you can scale and not take more on your plate, as it is about the nervous system and the metabolizing of stress component. And that formula together, the Somatic Success Method I've trademarked, is the way through and the way to create sustainable success in a way that feels really good and aligned for you. So these are the 3 things that I see time and again for women at the top of their industry, with my clients, with women at 2 million and up. It could be one company, it could be multiple companies, doesn't matter. But the number one thing is certainty. Did you know that the number one thing that sells is certainty? And I believe that everything is sales, even team growth, retention, performance. Everything is sales. I had a mentor, my first job, in fact, when I was 21, right out of college, and I worked at an ad agency in Soho, New York City. And that job was so much pressure. We were working long hours, late nights. We had, when you work in an agency, if you've never done this before, you're basically doing work ahead to win over business. So you're working, I can't imagine the stress looking back now that my boss had, the owner of the agency, but, he has all of us working on a project that we're not getting paid for, essentially. We are doing pitch work. So we're putting together pitch decks, campaign ideas, and then we bring it to the table, like Coca-Cola was one of our clients, and we would go in for a meeting and we'd present it. And then in the hopes that they would select ours, especially if we were competing against other agencies. So nothing was guaranteed. Like our work had to be very dialed in, and we had to give several options, because the more options, the more likely you were to be chosen, because then at least they know, like, oh, well, we like this from this and this from this, and we'll blend them together. Or you just have more chances, right? It's kind of like putting multiple names in a hat. The probability is higher of being chosen. Anyway, I asked him maybe 6 months into my job. This is my first full-time job ever out of school, and kind of cocky, because I thought he was going to be like, oh, you're doing amazing and you're perfect and da-da-da. But I was like, what could I do better? Like, how am I doing? And he goes, well, you're doing really great. So there was that. But also, something I've noticed is that if you don't like an idea, you just shoot it down, or you make a face, or you say, I don't like it. He goes, that's fine. But what I want to invite you into doing is selling an idea or a solution instead. Don't just say you don't like something. Sell the solution on the back end of it. I don't like that. Have we considered blank? I'm not sure about this one, but have we considered something else? And so selling, everything is sales, even ideas, even when, you don't like the solutions being offered, come up with a better solution, sell that through. And so I learned how to profit off of problem solving. I already am very high in strategy and visual creative thinking, but I took this lesson with me and I still use it all the time. In the way that I lead, in the way that I show up. I don't like when my team does this. If they've done it, they aren't with me anymore. But don't just tell me you don't like an idea. Don't just complain. Don't just show me all the barriers. Sell me the solution. If you have a better way, tell me. Share it with me. And then sell the fuck out of that. So over the years, if I didn't like how a boss was, if a boss was briefing me on a project and I didn't like the project, or I didn't like how the boss was approaching the solution, and I had a better idea, I would do what the boss asked. I would do what the brief asked me to do. And then I would say, and I took the time to flush out this whole other idea or this whole other campaign. And I'm going to tell you that a lot of the time they ended up choosing my idea, because I cut the tree down in the forest just to prove it was there by appeasing them with their idea. And I would do it. I wouldn't like half-ass it or undersell it. I would still try to get that through. But then I would also sell my idea. Well, here's why I did it this way. I know you didn't ask me to do this, but here's why I also did this. And they were like, oh, interesting. So I learned the best way to sell an idea is to sell the solution. And so the more certain you can be to that, and if everything is sales, then you're going to be a really rock star leader, because a leader is leadership, You are either guiding your team toward the vision or away from it. And your ability to lead with conviction is key to building a team that's committed and thriving. So you want your team bought into the vision? It's sales. Sell them on the vision. Why are they there? Want your team to build as if it were their own company? It's sales. Sell them on why it matters. What is this going to do if they are part of this and we can all do this effectively? We are building a mission that does XYZ. We are building a legacy that solves Y. We are solving a problem that helps people do Z, right? Sell them on why it matters. And to them, you want your team to grow with you through every evolution? It's sales. You sell them on the foundations and you continue to bring them back to the why. Because people that feel like they are connected to a purpose will stay with you longer. Because the work that they're doing, they feel like matters and contributes to making the world a better place. As cheesy as that sounds, you will retain employees and a team that is very connected to the why, but that means you have to be. And the certainty you project is the certainty they feel. I'm going to say that again, and I hope you have your notepad out. The certainty you project is the certainty they feel. Your clarity and where you're going and where you're taking the team and where you're all going together builds trust, it fosters measurable KPIs, and it inspires player performance. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't have team members that kind of evolve out of the ecosystem and out of the business. You're going to have to do, your intuitive part of this hiring and firing, of course. And if you're not really sure, you and I can chat about what leadership mapping might look like, how to maximize your leadership, how to get clear on where your vision is beyond this quarter, beyond this next, 2025. But really thinking in terms of legacy and big picture visioning, we can work on that. Because everything that comes from that vantage point, which will bring me to my second point, is where you're going to start running everything through. And that also includes hiring and firing. But it could include reorganizing, restructuring the organization, right? Sometimes people just aren't in the right role, and it's because we're not really listening to what lights them up and what brings them more joy and has them feel connected to purpose and is really their zone of genius. An example of this is I had a client of mine, and we realized, okay, wow, she's got a whole team of people that love coming up with ideas, but not a ton of people that are producing and finishing them. So we needed more systems people. We needed more people that are, flushing things out and are the finishers. They don't just play with paint. They commit to the gallery. And so we had to restructure some things in the organization. And sometimes that means, firing, but sometimes it also just means moving people around. Sometimes you have great people that are a B player in one role, but could be an A player in another role. So that comes with, we can do some tests and we can do some projects and exercises so that there were a couple exercises I've done with my team that really indicated to me that I didn't have the team required to move to the next level. And I'm happy to share those with you. If we can chat offline, you can just shoot me a DM. Anyway, number 2, focused. Your team needs you to be focused. In a world full of distractions, holy shit, there are so many distractions. Staying focused on the vantage point is essential for growth. Could you launch that next product? Could you start a new venture? Could you build another podcast? Could you partner with that person? Could you invent XYZ? Yes. Could you, have another nonprofit? Yeah, you totally could. However, your growth here is your commitment to mastery and really knowing when the time is right. Because the question I'm going to ask you first is it pulling you closer to or away from the ultimate vision? Let's say it's pulling you toward the ultimate vision, that having a nonprofit is really important to you, which I think is amazing. I would then ask you, is it the right time to launch that right now? Because here's what I see at these higher levels, especially self-sabotage shows up as endless busyness and these loops that distract you away from actually what's working really well. So I've had clients, they have this one part of the business or an entirely separate company. It's thriving, it's growing, things are working. And what do? They subconsciously self-sabotage and create drama or chaos somewhere else. Or they ruin the success and the growth trajectory of that company by launching something else. Like wrong time. double down on what's working, stay focused, and until you're completely able to like move out of that company because you've got such strong systems, predictability, and a team that could basically run it without you, you should not leave that. You should not abandon that because your energy now is going to be divided. And what's going to happen is then you'll have two projects that are just kind of mediocre. And you're going to wonder why the other one's not working. It's because you got distracted. So this is where I see a lot of self-sabotage, especially for creative types, visionaries, builders. Could you? Yes. Should you? I don't know. So you need to block out the noise, focus on the next critical step, and not sacrifice quality or excellence. And the last one I want to add here is make sure it's the right time. You would be surprised how much richness is available with everything that might already be in your ecosystem. What could you make better? What could you flush out even more? What could be elevated? Where do you need to sharpen the axe? Here's an example. A client of mine has written several books, and instead of writing another book or launching another project, I said, hey, why don't you go back and create a whole new marketing campaign around one of the books you've already written, launch an audiobook around it. You could even do like a bonus program, some sort of private offer, bonus upgrade, etc. And use that. It's already in your ecosystem. You've already written the book. Now you're just making it better. You're adding bells and whistles. So take a look at what you already have going. I'm going to guess that things could be a little better, especially in the world that we're in now with technology. It's almost overwhelming how fast it moves, but also how, like, take Go High Level, for example. If any of you use this as like a tracking tool for your agency or whatever, it has so many integrations, it's almost overwhelming. But I mean, what could you be doing better? Take inventory of that rather than starting a whole new thing. I mean, people, again, I love when people are multi-passionate because you guys are so amazing. In fact, everyone in our Champagne Club, which is our female founders and investors dinner events that we launch, a few times a year. Our next one is February 22nd, by the way. We sat around that table and we said like, oh my God, we could start a small country with the talent in this room. The passion, the vision, the mastery, all of it. But just because you could do everything doesn't mean you should do everything. So I love that you're so multi-passionate, but is it costing you mastery? Is it actually costing you growth?
This message sponsored by Po Hung Yu.
Have you ever thought about microdosing before? Maybe you've even seen documentaries like Fantastic Fungi or How to Change Your Mind on Netflix. By the way, I have a funny story about the Fantastic Fungi, but you're going to have to ask me offline. Or maybe you've heard about the extensive research happening in the best universities and the evidence showing how mushrooms are game-changing for those with anxiety, depression, ADHD, and even PTSD. So many female leaders and moms have jumped on the microdosing bandwagon to help them better manage modern-day stress. I want to introduce you to our new brand partner, Po Hung Yu. She's a self-mastery mentor, microdosing guide, and a former acupuncturist. And as a successful woman like me, like you, imagine a life where your brain and your nervous system can just relax. That's exactly what happens when you microdose and you're guided by an experienced facilitator. So you can actually be present and enjoy your life minus the anxiety, overwhelm, and stress. The best part is you don't feel high, there's no psychedelic effect, and no one will know. You can still work, be with your kids, drive, exercise, and live your normal day-to-day life. But you'll still receive all of the amazing benefits of mushrooms, like increasing neuroplasticity, flow, creativity, focus, and even your connection and intimacy with your loved ones. Not only will you receive a 15-minute consult where Po will tell you exactly how this process works so you can decide if it's a fit for you, but you'll also get a bonus of $500 off and a complimentary root cause assessment call worth over $800 when you decide to work with Po. Click the link below in the show notes to get started today. Number 3, calm. This one is a secret. This is a superpower. This is the one we work on a lot inside my long-term, VIP containers or 6-month or our year-long mentorship, because this one includes the somatic nervous system work. Nothing is more uninspiring than a frazzled leader. And listen, we've all been there where we've been fucked over by business partners, we've been canceled by clients, We've had people not meet their deadlines or their payment plan, or big clients lost, contracts canceled, loopholes found, Instagram getting hacked, whatever. People ripping off IP, cease and desist letters, lots of things. High seasons, low seasons, and in the valleys, how you show up is just as important as in the peaks. God told me the other day, I've seen what you do with less. Show me what you do with more. So you want to be a good steward, you have to be a good steward at every level of your internal systems, of your programming, your nervous system. It's running just like computer software. So if you're constantly in need mode or this has to work mode or chasing urgency, it's not just your team that suffers. I'm going to bet it's every part of your life. Motherhood, partnership, you're snippy. You don't have emotional capacity to handle anybody else because you can barely handle your own emotional capacity. This is indicative of your relationship with stress and potentially with adversity and failure. Success is determined by your ability to move through those things faster, but also to metabolize it, not to just like bypass it and pretend everything is hunky-dory, but to actually metabolize stress and manage it in your body better. The people that feel burned out are emotionally taxed. They don't handle stress well. They take a long time to recover from bad investments, failed launches, and shit hitting the fan moments. They just take a long time to recover. And if you think about your ability to bounce back faster and move through those things, not necessarily doing more, not necessarily constantly pivoting, but truly feeling calm and regulated despite those moments, you're going to have a leg up on a lot of people. This is where most people drop off because this is where they come to me and they say, I don't know if I want this anymore. Well, yeah, not in this state. Of course, you don't want to be burned out. Who would want that? Who wants to be feeling like they're not a present mother, or they're cranky and snippy with their spouse, or that they hate all this overhead pressure, which is very different, by the way, when you are a female leader and like you're a mom and you have all these, you're in charge everywhere all the time. That's a lot of pressure. And you're the high earner in the household. But imagine, despite things blowing up in your face, going wrong, because they will, again, and things will be stressful, and you will have more valleys, and you will have more peaks in your business. But despite all that, you're calm. You're steady. Your team trusts you. Your team respects you. Because you know, I got this. I can handle it. And your ability to metabolize stress is higher. So what does this mean in terms of health? You're going to be less likely to suffer a heart attack, less likely to have high blood pressure. You're going to live longer. You're going to be happier. You're going to be healthier. You're going to continue to prioritize self-care even when stress is high. In fact, I would argue that's the time to prioritize self-care more. And you're going to have this level of resilience that is absolutely unfuckwithable. Calm is probably the most important thing on this list that your team needs you to be. Because your energy and your nervous system sets the tone in your business, showing that even in these high stakes, a clear mind and a grounded presence leads to this lasting success. That's what's sustainable. Honestly, if it's not that kind of success, I don't want it. I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to go move to the beach and sell scrunchies. But let's be honest. I joke and I say, you'll move to the beach and then you'll write a book on how to best sell scrunchies and you'll create a scrunchie empire because you're born to lead. You can't escape that. So let's just learn how to lead better, shall we? So in every season of growth, I want you to remember this. The leader your team needs is not the one running on fumes. In fact, the most powerful woman in the room is the calmest one. I don't mean like freeze response, faux calm. I mean, shit could be hitting the fan and you are just unfucking phased. You've been through this. You got God. He's your boo. You know where you're going. You've built an A-team, like a team of players. Like you know exactly where to go. You're focused. You're clear. You're ready to lead through wins and challenges. So calm, that's a secret superpower. If you know the nervous system work, like both what's going on in your body and also what's going on in other people's bodies, you're going to have something that a lot of people don't. This is the secret sauce, guys. This is why I trademarked the Somatic Success Method, right? We can have success on paper, but if it doesn't feel good, who wants that? The somatic part, what's going on in your body, how you metabolize stress, how you live longer, how you're connected to your present moment with the ones that you love, how you're building your empire, but from a place of sustainable success and scalable wealth. That's the success that I want, and I know that you want all day, every day. So if you need help with that, let's chat. Send me a DM. We have power hours. You can book a one-off hour with me. We have VIP half days, virtual or in person, where you do 4 months of coaching essentially in 4 hours with me. Or we can do a longer term container, which are my favorite. I love one-on-one work. And you will see the payoff from somatic work for years to come. I still have clients that message me and they're like, this is the work that continues to have an ROI, literally financially and also emotionally and health-wise. I had a client of mine, and she's a CEO of a $50 million healthcare enterprise, and she's the only woman on the board. And she had to do fundraising for the first time, private fundraising ever. And she's like, Keri, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I was like, cool, we got this. We'll figure this out. Show me your pitch. Who are you presenting to? Tell me a little bit more. When is it happening? How much time do we have? What's the goal? How much do you want to raise? Blah, blah, blah. The goal was 9 million, I think, 7 million, something like that, 7 to 9 million. And she runs me through her pitch deck. I think she was presenting to 500-600, offices, mostly men, again. And we talked a lot, surprisingly, about her nervous system. Okay, how does it feel as you share all this? What's happening inside? Who are you being? How do you think that energy is being felt? Because energy, somatic work, whatever, it's similar. I mean, nervous system work is definitely more rooted in sensations and trauma, and that's a whole other episode. However, your nervous system is unconsciously dictating your behaviors and your patterns, which then shows up as like the energy that people can feel. If someone isn't saying something, but they're like really anxious, you can feel their anxiety in your body. And you're like, they're not saying anything, but I'm like picking up on this weird energy. Yeah, because energy doesn't lie. So who you're being when you're doing these kinds of things, sales calls, pitch things, fundraising, that matters, because whether or not they have words to why they feel that, they feel that. Our nervous systems are trained to constantly attune and pick up on other people's nervous systems. It's how we scan for threat and, potential protection to assess like what's going on. And we are human beings, we're animals with a nervous system. So it's important that we know what's happening in our body as we do these things. So she goes, well, I don't know, I feel like kind of in my head and I'm trying to get it right. And I was like, yeah, I totally feel that as you're presenting this to me. So we made some tweaks between that initial pitch and then like her second round where people said, yes, hey, I want more information. And we got clear on that and boom, $5.5 million. So, and this was from $0. She had never done this before. So who you're being matters. The woman that walks in the room that doesn't say a word, that's actually very connected, calm, certain about herself, she has an energy about her. She's magnetic. That energy also doesn't lie. So who you're being, how your nervous system is showing up in your behaviors and energy you're giving off absolutely matters. This is the secret to higher levels of success, but also sustainable success. And I think it's the most important one because I've seen it pay off tenfold with my clients and the way that they lead and the way that they mother and they show up and the way that they handle and respond to stress, because stress isn't going anywhere. There's going to be shit that hits the fan. Like, that's not going anywhere. But the way you respond and react to it, that can change. That can evolve. You can move through that fast. You don't have to absorb that. You don't have to take that on. And you can actually create a life and a business that feels really good for you, even at higher levels, beyond 2 million, 8 million, whatever, 10 million. So check the show notes below. This was inspired by a newsletter that we send out every other week. At least that's the cadence right now. And if you want to be part of that and you want to get these valuable nuggets of wisdom, just put your email click that Wealthvault link below and put your email in to subscribe to the newsletter, and you'll get that right to your inbox every other week. It's usually like Monday or Tuesday we send it out. And then if you're looking to elevate conversations, get in the room, you can sign up for the Champagne Club. The next one is February 22nd. There's nearly 50 women inside that growing community. And then lastly, if this is any indication that maybe you're ready for your next level mentor, you're ready for a woman that understands business and embodiment and trauma and is a mom and really understands all those facets of life and how those all need to be coached for a holistic approach for leadership, let's chat. You can book a power hour call with me, or we can chat about what it might look like to work together one-on-one. I've decided that I'm focusing a lot more of my time serving more women at the higher level in intimate containers. It's the work I love. I love it. I love the one-on-one work. I love going further together. I love watching and witnessing the work that we do together in our container infiltrate and disperse out into your life and come through you. That just lights me up. So we've opened up even more spots for that. So let's chat. But in the meantime, maybe we will re-record the Talking to God podcast. I don't know. We'll see. It was so weird that there was no sound despite seeing sound waves when I went to go upload it. But I will see you guys on the next episode, and keep it first class.
Thanks for tuning in to Literally First Class. If today's episode inspired you, hit subscribe and leave a review. It helps us reach even more incredible women like you who are ready to level up, lead with impact, and make first-class moves. I'll see you in the next episode, but until then, keep dreaming big and taking bold action.